Thank you for being here. My name is Joe Keys. I'm the president of Equity Metals. And I'll be giving the presentation today. We're going to be talking mostly about the exploration potential on this property. So I'll obviously be doing making some forward-looking statements. So we'll be talking about primarily our Silver Queen project in British Columbia. No royalty on it. This was a company that was struggling. A few years ago, one of their directors had worked with us in the Golden Triangle and thought there might be some analogies here on Silver Queen. We took a look at it. We thought, yeah, this is some place that we could develop some resources pretty quickly. We've done that. There are some other assets in the company, some diamond projects with kimberlites that are diamondiferous. Silica sand royalty on another property, but we're really going to focus today just on the assays from our drilling and the fact that we've increased the resources significantly. So our thought when we looked at the project was, can we turn this into something like a million ounces of gold equivalent? It's polymetallic. We've done that. We've had a significant increase in the resource right now. We're going to be focusing this next year on two other areas that we've had some pretty good success in our drilling this past year, the George Lake and Coal Lake projects. So let's take a look here. The company is small, recently traded at the start of the year at about 13 cents. We have cash in the bank, about $3 million, $2.5–3 million. And we have a market cap that's pretty small, about $20 million. So mostly retail investments at this point. We're part of the Mannix team of companies, and so you'll see some of these names on some of the other Mannix Group companies. The project itself is in the western central portion of British Columbia. The other projects you can see in the diamonds in the Northwest Territories and some of the other projects that we have as well. But we're going to talk about Silver Queen. Silver Queen has a number of veins. There's about 20 that have been identified. These are associated with porphyry systems. They call them intermediate sulfidation systems. They tend to be polymetallic. They can be some very spectacular gold and silver grades. We had done work in the Golden Triangle, very similar grades, but you don't have to deal with a helicopter here. You can drive everywhere. So the logistics are really quite good. There has been a little bit of historic work, production. There was quite a bit of pre-production work, so there's a lot of underground workings, about 9 kilometers. A lot of the one vein that was a resource when we took over the company was drilled out underground. The metallurgy looked like it was fine. And the metallurgy looked pretty good. So we've drilled about 100 holes, about 35,000 meters of drilling. And take a quick look at the location. There's a paved road from the town of Houston, from the Bend, crosses our property, a good dirt road with a power line going down to the Huckleberry mine. The photograph here, this is our driveway up to our camp, so it comes off very good terrain to work. There's a lot of grassland. There are 20 veins, like I said, that have been identified, but we've found that there's quite a few veins that actually are covered by the soil and dirt cover in this area. So good potential to add additional ounces. So the resource that was done originally was this area right here, the number 3 vein. Significant amount of drilling underground, some underground development. There are 2 declines, one located here in green, another one over here. And there was another area, there were some confusing numbers with some pretty splashy grades, but couldn't make them fit together, so we're worried about the continuity. What we've done is we've taken a very hard look at the geology of this area. The original drilling was on the assumption that it was parallel to this structure. It turns out it's actually an east-west structure here. So when we started drilling in the right direction, a lot of those veins ended up lining up very nicely. It looks like most of the mineralization on this area here is at this intersection between these east-west structures and this northwest structures. That seems to be a major control because in this area here we see the same thing. Some spectacular grades early on. Our hole 10, we did some initial just confirmation drilling on some of the resources. 10 was a bit of a step out. The last hole of the program, we had 56,000 grams per ton silver. So just spectacular zone. Fairly narrow, but all that red-brown that you see in there is ruby silver. So pretty spectacular, interesting. There's a porphyry that was partially delineated by 3 holes by the previous owners. This looks like it's a big porphyry system, basically a small apophyse in this area, mostly gold and copper here, getting to be a lot more lead zinc and very high silver in this area here. So we're still trying to work out some of the, some of the geometry here, but the resource that we've put together is basically in this area here. You notice there's some other targets on veins that we thought if we could put together a significant resource in here, these are areas that we could develop additional resources down the line. So this is what the resource looks like right now. The majority of it is in the indicated category. There is some in the inferred. I can't quite get the pointer here, but there are pretty good grades in here. If you look at the gold equivalent, it's about 1 million ounces, about 80 million ounces of silver. So one thing that we did is we looked at a cutoff grade. This was based on $100 per ton as a cutoff grade, that present value. If you double that cutoff grade, you only lose 16% of the resource and you significantly increase the average grade of the deposit. So a very nice resource that we're developing, and the question then became, and a switch that we made in 2023 is to start looking at some of these other targets that we hadn't really done proper amount of work on. So we did a soil sampling program over much of the area. There are a number of targets that show up, but something a little bit more immediate is when you look at this insert here on the north or the upper left-hand side, the resource is here. If you take a look at this blow-up area, there are 2 major veins that have had a number of shallow drill holes along them, some of them not so shallow, but there was also a decline in this area that cuts this. This gives us access. It's flooded now, but it gives us access into the core of this vein system right here. So what we did is we drilled a number of holes in 2 of those veins, the George Lake vein and the Coal Lake vein. This is what the longitudinal section looks like. Good early returns. We verified the drilling. This is where the decline comes across. There's some better values. These are thicknesses, thicker zones as you go in this area. And the only drill holes along strike here are these very shallow hits that were drilled. So this is really wide open. This is where we're going to be doing a lot of the drilling in our upcoming 2023. We raised some money in December, flow-through shares, and so we're funded to do that work, 1.6 million. So that'll give us about 6,000 meters of drilling. So this is pretty exciting. I think this is a place where we can add a significant amount of ounces. Typically in these type of systems, you get 200 to 300 meters of well-mineralized rock in these veins. You get above it and the grades drop off. You get below it and the grades drop off. So we're cognizant of that. It looks like we've got a pretty open area that we're looking at putting together the drill program, which will start in probably late May. Coal Lake, we had some other good results, some good thicknesses. The grades weren't as high. So looking at some of the core photos a couple of days ago, it looks like we're still pretty high in the system. So we might just be in the wrong part of the strike length. So we're going to be testing the areas to the north and to the south. So again, another area that what we could potentially add a significant amount of resource quickly. So that's the story. There is a portfolio of other projects, but really we're just focusing on the one that we think that's going to turn into a mine quickest. And we have money in the bank, and we've got ideas on where we want to drill.